Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. Today we're featuring a new deck. I mean, it's new in the sense that I haven't played this deck on the channel yet. And this is a deck that's somewhat new with the previous meta. I guess the previous one or two metas this deck kind of arose, but what makes this deck more new and more relevant to the video is that we are trying a new card here in this deck. So this is, I know the name that I have for this deck is stupid. I just thought it sounded funny, but this is a Darkrai Giratina, I'm sorry, Arceus Giratina. No wait, God. It's an Arceus Darkrai deck that is kind of trying to turbo out damage with Arceus and Darkrai, mainly by using the baby Pokemon. So the baby Pokemon are there, most of them to put energy onto your Pokemon sooner, and then you can presumably, rack up energy with Darkrai or Arceus to attack much earlier than you otherwise would. And I think that Arceus is in a pretty solid position right now because of Blaziken. Blaziken seems to be kind of like one of the up-and-coming new decks from the new set with, Blaziken, Mega Blaziken EX being really powerful. Mega Blaziken EX does burn the enemy, and so Arceus, of course, is immune to burn. But just kind of looking at the cards here, in particular with a new card we have here is May. Put 2 random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. For each Pokemon you put into your hand this way, choose a Pokemon to shuffle from your hand into your deck. So I just thought that, I wanted to try out some new cards, and I just felt as though May sounds like it could work really, really well in this type of deck because, of course, we have so many baby Pokemon. These baby Pokemon are really powerful turn 1, but as the game goes longer, they obviously get a lot less viable, a lot less powerful. So there are going to be situations where we have several baby Pokemon in hand on later turns and we just have no use for them anymore. So in those cases, we would much rather find maybe a Darkrai or an Arceus or a Snorlax. But we'll see how it plays out, because as you can tell, there are so many Pokemon in this deck. That's what? Is that 15? Wait. No, 12. 12 Pokemon in the deck. Is that right? Yeah, I can't count. Either way, there's a lot of Pokemon in this deck. You'll also notice we don't have Pokeball. And that's kind of for a similar reason as what I just explained, where it means that we might have cases where late game we have a Pokeball in hand and we use Pokeball and we end up finding like a Mantike or something, right? So it ends up feeling like a waste to have Pokeball sometimes. So the rest of the cards are just meant to really facilitate like damage. So we've got 1 copy of Red, 2 copies of Giovanni. In order to include May in the deck, I cut 1 Repel and 1 Mars. I do actually think there's some merit. I don't know if Repel is as good right now as it once was, because of course Blaziken, Gyarados, Altaria, these are all like prevalent, even Hydreigon maybe. These are all like powerful Pokemon from the new set, and the new Eevee's really good, and it makes like Sylveon and Eeveelution's really good. And so basically my point is Repel is a little less good right now because there's actually a lot of evolutions. Sure, there are still some strong basic Pokemon, but if my opponent has like a Mega Altaria in the active spot and I have Repel in hand, it's not going to do anything. Whereas if I were to have Cyrus, obviously I don't have Cyrus, but I'm going to see if I feel like I want to add it. Maybe I'll swap 1 May for a Cyrus? I don't know. I kind of thought about that, but I was like, oh, I'm trying to feature May in this video, so maybe we'll just keep May. But Cyrus sounds potentially good because with the Mega Pokemon, we're not knocking them out in one shot. All of them have a lot of HP. So I was just thinking like, okay, we could do 130 with Arceus to like Mega Gyarados, which does not knock it out. And then they'll probably retreat because obviously if we hit them again next turn, then they're dead. And then if they do that, then we can Cyrus it back into play. So I don't know. All of the cards that we're playing seem like they have some value. I mean, maybe Red is an option as well. Like Giovanni's really good with Tyrogue. Like Giovanni with Tyrogue can one-shot like an Eevee or something, or can just do so much damage early. And then of course, if you add in Darkrai's ability to it, you can just do a lot of damage kind of really early on, which is really powerful. And Giovanni really helps you get some early KOs. So I'm just going to run it like this without Cyrus for now, and we'll see if we're really missing that. We might end up like really feeling like we need Cyrus, but for now, this is how we'll play it. So yeah, let me know what you think about the deck. Let me know if there's other ways to improve it, and let's get to some games. Here is our first game. Our first game is against Ronald McDonald. Okay. I definitely don't want to disappoint him, so we'll see how this plays out. And I go second. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. This is a Psychic deck, worth noting. Ooh, okay. We only have Mantike. That's extremely rare for this opening hand for this deck because our deck has, again, 12 Pokemon in it. So for us to not see another Pokemon in the opening hand aside from Mantike is pretty unfortunate, pretty unlucky. And of course, we can't use May because May, what she does is she grabs 2 random Pokemon, and then if you keep them, you have to put 2 back, or however many you keep, you have to put that many back. So we can't use May if we don't have any other Pokemon. If we don't draw another Pokemon, we basically lose, actually. We literally lose the game because this thing can do 30. Wow, my opponent just has a really strong start. All right. Okay, we did find a Pokemon, which means we can actually try out May here. Nice, okay. Yeah, that works out really well. So you can actually see the power of May there, where we drew the worst possible Pokemon we could have drawn, and then because of May, we were able to like cycle through our deck again to look for something better. So because of the way that our deck works, and I mean, like I'm kind of getting at, like this is kind of what we're trying to do with our deck, we are going to be able to actually attack with Darkrai next turn, which is really powerful. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that like impactful because we're just going to be knocking out a Jirachi that already has damage on it. Importantly too, this Jirachi can actually do 30 damage to Darkrai, so that's actually kind of rough. I guess my opponent could start to set up Altaria, but they don't. So we go into Darkrai here. This is actually kind of scary. Yeah, Mega Altaria is gonna be a rough one here. And we do not have any healing in our deck. We just have Cape. Oh, they just knock out. I guess that makes some amount of sense. They actually just opt to knock out Mantike. But unfortunately, we're just going to be doing this excess damage to Jirachi. And we can't change that. Huh. What does this do again? It can't play item cards. Okay, we don't have any items at the moment. I don't think there's a reason to play Pichu. It just makes, like, Repel worse. So we'll just go ahead and knock him out, which, once again, this is really rough because it feels like we're wasting damage. But it is what it is. This is where I actually wish I had Repel, because they're going to go into Chimecho, or a Chingling here, and then if I had Repel, I could kind of force them into maybe Giratina. Although in that case, they would probably just put in Altaria. Alright, so we're going to one-shot Chingling, but of course, we're going to need that Cape. If we don't find Cape... Yeah, I was kind of worried about that too, but I don't really care about the Pichu. I don't care about losing Pichu. If we don't find Cape, I think we actually lose. But also we lose if my opponent has Giovanni. So we actually might have to retreat here and just kind of see what happens. Because again, if we knock out Chingling, they just knock us out next turn. I guess if by some miracle they do not have another basic Pokemon to play, then we do survive. But this is so annoying. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that, retreat into Pichu, and then put another energy back on Darkrai. It does mean if they stay in with Chimecho or Chingling, whatever, we will be able to knock it out next turn for whatever it's worth. But let's just go ahead and pass. Again, if they do not have another Pokemon in their hand, then we would have been able to survive an attack from Mega Altaria. But I mean, what are the odds? Like, they're going to have another Pokemon, right? So if they stay in, they're dead to Darkrai, which is nice. But if they switch, I mean, I think the smartest play is they just go into Altaria and kill Pichu, right? this Jingling is so annoying. Knock out Pichu. I think I'll use red just to get it out of my hand. I don't think it's going to make... Well, no, actually I should hold on to that just in case they ever put us in a situation where they give us Giratina. Oh, but once again, we need Cape here. Otherwise, we're dead. If we don't draw Cape, we lose. Okay. All right. We have 140 damage, but obviously that's not enough. Yeah. Because this does 130 exactly. All right, there's nothing else we could do here. So, GG. That deck does seem pretty difficult for our deck to beat, I guess. I mean, it just didn't line up for us. Like, we had an early Darkrai, which is really powerful, but they just had so many Pokemon that they could just throw at us. That is a game where Repel would have actually helped us a lot. So, you know, I was talking about how Repel is maybe not as good because of like Altaria and Blaziken and Gyarados, but that's a situation where it would have helped. And here's our second game. They never retreat. Sure, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. And I am going first this time. Going first is not that bad with this deck. Okay, we're playing against a grass deck. I think we just lead Tyrogue. You might notice, yes, I have the fancy Darkrai's. I was able to open a lot of packs of the other set. I kind of splurged on opening the packs. Definitely putting Darkrai into play here, I guess. Right? Is that necessary? I don't know. It's a grass deck. I mean, there's one argument to like not putting everything into play, and in fact, just putting few things into play. Oh God, Pinsir. There's one argument to just kind of holding on to our Pokemon just because it gives them less information, which could actually be pretty valuable. But at the same time, you know, Mars and Red Card are always a thing, so if we hold on to everything, we might lose them, which is obviously really bad. So let's think about this. If we go into Magby here, we could put an energy on one of our Pokemon, but then next turn we still would not be able to attack. So I think I'd rather just... I'm going to put Cape on Arceus. I'm probably going to try to set up Arceus for an attack here. Although doing chip damage with Darkrai and Tyrogue is tempting. I think we're going to do that chip damage. Yeah, I think... I don't know. The reason I put the Cape on Arceus is because Darkrai cannot survive. If they flip heads with Pinsir's attack, Darkrai gets one shot. Of course, it does require them to flip a heads, but I would not be surprised if they're playing like Will. By the way, this artwork is pretty sick. Oh, it has Galvantula too. Oh, that's awesome. I like that a lot. Pinsir, I'm not so sure. They're probably playing Leafeon EX. Yeah, we're just gonna look to chip. But once again, huh? Oh man. Like I could do 40 to them with Tyrogue and Darkrai, or I could swap into one of the other babies and start putting energy, like set up for an attack on Arceus next turn. But if I do that, I'm not doing any damage to them this turn, so I'm only going to be hitting them for 130. Maybe that's worth it. Yeah, I think that could be worth it. Yeah, actually. The nice gold Mantike. Yeah, my deck is all blinged out, I guess you could say. So... put the energy on Arc. Pass. They put an energy on Pinsir. I guess if they have like Leaf, they could possibly set up for a big attack next turn. If they Leaf, I mean like retreat, like the card that lets them retreat, because that would let them go into Leafeon, which could put basically 2 energy on Pinsir, which means that they wouldn't have to take an attack from Arceus. Yeah, or X speed. Similar deal here. This kind of what I was expecting, yeah. So now they can put 2 energy on Pinsir. If we draw Giovanni or Red, we knock out Leafeon. It's just awkward because, you know, the Darkrai damage would also add to that, but we obviously cannot put an energy on Arceus and on Darkrai. I guess if we had Dawn, but I don't know if it's worth it to play Dawn in this deck. There are situations like this where it feels like you should, but... so they spread the energy 1 and 1. Interesting. This does mean... Oh, beautiful. Yeah, this does mean that they can attack... They could potentially attack with Leafeon next turn, but... this is going to likely move us towards, like, winning the game. Because we're going to knock out Leafeon here, and then they're going to go into Pinsir. They only have 150 HP left. And now that Arceus is ready to start firing attacks, Darkrai, we can start putting energy on Darkrai each turn, which is an additional 20 damage. So we're effectively hitting for 150 now, which of course is how much HP they have remaining. But, you know, it's a grass deck. They could have Leaf Cape, they could have Erica, etc. But my opponent also has 0 points at the moment, so even if they get to a point where they do knock out Arceus, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we're still in a really nice position. Beautiful. Very, very good. Although at the same time, if they had knocked out Arceus, if they did get to a point where they could knock out Arceus, I'm in a scary position because if they flip heads against Darkrai, as I mentioned, we're gone. Like, they just cleanly destroy Darkrai. But that was a good one. That was another good game. Let's do one more. These games are kind of fast. And we have another opponent. Nice icon. And I guess you could say pretty cool emblems too. There's a lot of cool emblems that they've added, but I just love my emblems. I love my Smeargle, Goldango, and Mew. Smeargle and Mew are 2 of my favorite Pokemon of all time, and then the Goldango emblem, I'm just like proud that I got it. Okay, so we're up against a water deck. There's a lot of things it could be. I'm gonna guess Gyarados, because a lot of people are trying a lot of the new cards. I think we're just gonna lead Tyrogue. Yeah, I think we lead Tyrogue. And then I'm gonna play Arc and then leave it at that. If I'm being honest, I know I'm not the best, like... Oh man. Sorry. I'm not the best, like, judge of this, but, like, I have not found Snorlax to be great in this deck. I don't know, maybe I'll cut it. I know there's a reason for it, but it just feels like you don't have any way of, like, getting it out of the active spot. So, like, once you put it in the active spot in this deck, it's stuck there. Like, you either fill it up with energy if you can. I mean, obviously the goal is, like, you use the baby Pokemon to, like, power out the energy more quickly, but... Okay, yeah, this is going to be a scary matchup. They are playing Gyarados, like I said. Oh, man, okay. If we had Darkrai 2, we could actually knock out Manaphy in 1 turn. If we... Of course, we have May to find the Darkrai, but then we can't play Giovanni in that case. I'm just going to go ahead and fire off May here. Yeah, I guess if this fails, if we don't find Darkrai, we can still keep what we draw, or we can keep what else is in our hand. And I do think it could actually be worth it. I think I'm going to throw back Snorlax. Maybe that's wrong. That could be... You might be screaming at the screen. We do want one of the babies, I think. I guess I'll throw back Tyrogue. I don't know. Now the question is, do we start setting up Arceus? I think we do. Could also set up some Snorlax, but nah, I think I'm just going to start setting up Arceus. And because Arceus does, of course, care about the number of Pokemon on your bench, I will just play Snorlax. Actually, that was probably weak, because if I ever draw Darkrai, I'm going to want to play that. But next turn, we can start firing off 130 powered attacks, which is kind of what we're trying to do with this deck. There's some argument to putting that energy on Snorlax just because he has a lot more HP. There's the early Gyarados. That is scary. And a Misty. All right, we're going to lose to a Misty flip, aren't we? Okay, thank you. Misty's still annoying as ever. Of course, she really does not see anywhere near as much play anymore, but it still has potential to be a scary threat. Okay, red is not going to do enough. Honestly, I should have started setting up that Snorlax. I guess I didn't think that they'd have Gyarados this quickly. But let's do this. And then they're going to go into Mantike, put 2 more energy onto Gyarados that turn, which means the following turn they can start attacking. So I am going to need that cape. once again. Otherwise... Actually, otherwise, we can still knock out Mantike. Come on, come on, come on, Tails. No, 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 no. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. If they had got enough energy to attack this turn, I basically lose the game. But in this case, yeah, they're attacking next turn. Oh, it's only basics. I forgot about that. Okay. So now, how do we do this? I knock out Mantike, they go into... Since we did not find Cape... I mean, I have a chance to find Cape with Research. But... I actually don't think there's too much of a reason to just not do it this way. I'm going to go Tyrogue. I almost put the energy on Tyrogue. That's funny. Oh, if I put... I mean, I can't put it on Snorlax because I'm so far away from attacking. I committed to Arceus this game, so I have to do that. But like I said, this will knock out Mantike. And then we just go from there, honestly. Like, hope for the best. I do desperately need Cape. I guess if I don't find Cape... Let's see, they knock out Tyrogue. I go into Mantike. If I don't find Cape, I put an energy... I put 2 energy on Snorlax with the energy for turn and Mantike's attack. Then we go to their turn, they knock out Mantike. I go to my turn. No, I don't think that's going to be... I think we have to bank on the Cape. I'm going to go into Mantike first, just because we don't really lose... Oh, they knocked over our Cape. Oh, no. Oh, my God. The ability of Gyarados' attack ended up being super relevant here. Okay, I think we lose. I think that lost us the game. Wow. So I lost this game because I wasn't investing in Snorlax. Wow, dude. Let's see, if I find Darkrai, I could put... Oh, that's not... So... Gyarados' ability for its attack won them the game because I needed that Cape. If I had that Cape, I could survive one hit with Arceus. And then... Oh, yeah. Wow, dude. What else can I do here? I guess I have to start trying to set up Snorlax, but like I said, it's just not going to be fast enough. And these aren't going to matter because they're about to get 2 points now. Like, or they're about to get their second point, so they just need to knock out any one thing at this point. That's funny. That's so funny. I lost the game because of Gyarados' ability. This looks like a pretty non-assuming ability. You discard the top 3 decks of their... Or 3 cards of their deck. But hey, I mean, sometimes it's kind of clutch. If you're able to do that really quickly, like early on in the game, and you're able to do it multiple times in the game, it does add up pretty quickly. We go into Lax, put 1 energy on it. We can't do anything else. They hit me for 140. I survive. The following turn, I attack them, but that's just not enough. Yeah, that's funny. All right. That's a lesson to learn, I guess. You know, I was talking about how I didn't think Snorlax was great in this deck, but if I had started putting energy on it early on, I could have definitely won this game. So, crazy stuff. And that's the game, that's the deck. I mean, this is, like I said, this is a deck that has existed for a few seasons now, and I've really liked it. I've always really liked it, just the ability to, like, turbo out some really powerful attacks thanks to the baby Pokemon. Tyrogue is also really cool in this deck as well, and it combos really nicely with Giovanni and Darkrai. But, you know, there are games where your game plan is clear. It's like, okay, you're going to lead with a baby, you're going to start putting energy on Darkrai, and you're going to attack really early and win the game quickly. And then there's games like the one you just saw where it's like there is a lot of decisions to make, and sometimes it's not as obvious as like what's in front of you. So a lot to learn with this deck. I'm sure there's a lot of mistakes that I made, but I do enjoy this deck and I like it a lot. And of course, the card that we were trying out is May. And in that one game where I used May, she was actually pretty good. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about May in this deck. Of course, maybe by cutting those other cards and swapping them with May, maybe I'm making a huge mistake and I should just, you know, keep those cards. There was the other game where Repel looked like it would have been super clutch. So a lot of situations in this video where I was like, oh, this thing doesn't look great in the deck, so I'm going to cut it, or I'm going to consider cutting it. And then it's like the one thing I needed. Good stuff, but let me know in the comments what you thought of this deck. Let me know how you would improve it, specifically with new cards from the new set, or do you think it's perfect as is before the new set? And do you think that it can hold its place in the meta? I think it can, but also, as you saw there, we fought against a lot of mega decks, and they were tough to overcome. That massive HP from Altaria and Gyarados was difficult to overcome. Not from Pinsir, but anyway, hope you have a great day. Take care, have a great weekend. See you soon.